Hi, sixth graders. It's Mrs. Martin, and this is your December book talk. It's hard to believe we're already in the month of December, but I'm ready to talk to you about some great books for this month and leading you into winter break. I don't know about you, but it has been a little tougher these days to find time to read for fun. And so I thought I'd take a minute to talk about some ways that you might find some time to read. Maybe reading for class is one thing, but reading just for pleasure is another. One thing I wanted to remind you of is that part of establishing a good habit for reading is just having those reading materials handy. If you have downtime, time when you can be doing something for fun, just having a book ready to read or a magazine to read, a graphic novel, a comic book, knowing what you're going to read next is really kind of an important thing to do. Um, Without that, if you are ready to read something, but you don't have something, kind of next up or ready in mind to read, you are a little bit stuck. So keeping in mind that, whether it's stopping by our library at Valley to do the curbside checkout, using our Mac and Via app on your iPad for ebooks, going to your local public library, or finding other things that you can read, just kind of keeping that running list going and knowing what you want to read next is a really helpful way to have things ready to read when you have that time and are in the mood to read something for fun. Another way is to connect reading to your everyday life and making it a part of your daily schedule, whether that means that you read in the morning or you're like me, I tend to read at night. I've got kids, so it's nice for me to wait until my house is quiet in the evening and then I can take time to read. That's kind of part of my schedule. Without that time, I'm not exactly sure when I would get the reading done that I want to do for fun. Another possibility is just to consider your hobbies and your personal interests because when we connect our hobbies and interests to what we're reading about, it makes that reading even more interesting. It doesn't have to be that we're sitting down with a chapter book. It might be that you're finding articles online or, something in a magazine. Just reading for information to try to find out more about something you are interested in. So whether you like to do crafts, or sports or music, read up on the things that you're interested in and try to find out more about those topics. Last but not least, keeping in mind that there are so many places to get recommendations of things to read and asking your classmates, your friends, that's a great place to go. I'm one person who can give you a recommendation of something to read. Your teachers are others. Family members are great as well, but reach out to some of your classmates and ask too about the things that they're reading, because oftentimes I think that is what connects you to some of your very best reads. The people that are your age are going to be probably your best recommenders for your next reading choice. Thank you so much for everyone that contributed to our Scholastic Book Fair that was available online back in November. We did purchase a bunch of books for the library, and these are just a few of the great ones that we are adding to our collection. Those books should be available probably in the next, I would say, 5 to 7 days. You will see some of those popping up on our Destiny Discover catalog, and I will put a note out on Schoology to let you know as well that those books are available for checkout. Keep in mind, if some of these books sound great, you might want to write them down so that you remember there's a book that you'd like to put on hold as soon as it's available. And then remember, after you've put that book on hold, you stop by the main office to that cart that's right outside and pick up the book that you have checked out. So I'm sharing a couple great books with you today to add to your reading list, and I hope something on here sounds good. You might also want to look back at some of the books that I shared with you back in October or November. If there were books that I shared before that weren't available because someone else checked them out, they might be available at this time. The first one I'm sharing, it comes from our short read section, and I love this section of the library because most of the books there are less than 100 pages in length. Without actually picking up this book myself right now. I want to say this story is maybe around 75 pages long. So it's a nice quick read, but it's still got a great story with a terrific main character. And our main character's name here is Shola, as you can see from the title, Shola's Game by Sean Durkin. Shola has moved from Nigeria to the United States, and he's brand new to the U.S. He is just getting used to what it feels like to be in a new country. So, really, I think at the heart of this story, it's what does it feel like to be the new kid? Whether it's that you've been a new kid before at a new school, or you've been the new kid to a neighborhood, or a city, or a family. Just if you know what it's like to feel new or to feel like an outsider in some way, you will relate to Shola's situation here. Shola was a football star in Nigeria. He played football and he was great at it. Well, now that he is here in the US, where he has moved to, there isn't football for him to play. It's not a big thing. But what is big is hockey, ice hockey in particular. And so, he's brand new to that idea, and he's very athletic himself. He wants to learn to play, and he's going to learn to do it because he loves sports, and he wants to become a good athlete in this new sport that is so popular there. So he's hoping to get to know people. He's hoping to get good at this game that he's never played before in his life. So it's an adjustment to go from one sport that he's fantastic at and all of a sudden now be trying to play something that he's never played before in his entire life. It's a great book. Again, it's a very short, quick read. If you like sports, if you like a story where, it's kind of a fish out of water story about a kid who is going through all kinds of new experiences and is really, it's a very realistic struggle, I think, and seeing him try to come out on top. You will like this book a lot. Shola's Game by Sean Durkin. Our second story, also from the short read section, again, less than 100 pages to this book. This is by Paul Kropp, and it's called My Broken Family. It's the story of a girl whose family is going through a divorce. Her parents have just gotten divorced, and when her parents split up, it feels like her whole life is falling apart. It's not just her parents that are at odds with each other. It feels like Maddie's whole life is just crumbling. Nothing seems to go right. The only thing that she does seem able to hold on to is her love for dancing. And that is the thing that is carrying her through the hardship of her parents' divorce and her family kind of going through this struggle. If you've ever had something in your life that has been really tough, and or if you've had something that really carries you through, if you're passionate about something, if you have something that you absolutely love to do, you will connect with Maddie, because in this story, dance is what brings her through the pain and the hard times of her family's divorce. My Broken Family by Paul Kropp. Any of these stories, don't forget, all you have to do is go on to Destiny Discover, onto that catalog. You log in with your ID number and your password for Collab, and then you just put a hold on the book, and we will have it ready for you within usually a day. Ms. Kump or myself just will send you a message on Schoology and let you know that that book is ready for you to come pick up on that cart outside the main office. Let's talk about a couple of other ones. This is one of my favorite graphic novels by Cece Bell, and I was so excited to find a YouTube video where Cece actually talks about the writing of this story. So I'm not going to share too much about the book myself. Let me just tell you, the story is about a young girl who starts at a new school, and that's a scary thing to do, starting in a new school. We all know that. But it's even more so a scary thing to start somewhere new with a giant hearing aid strapped to your chest. And Cece, in her video, is going to tell you about that situation. At her old school, Cece's old school, everyone in her class was deaf. everyone, couldn't hear. Here at this new school, she's the one who is different from everyone else. I'm going to let the author tell you about the writing of her story, El Defo, because again, she does a fabulous job telling us about her book, about this graphic novel that she's written. Just a fantastic read. Let's take a listen.
Hi, my name is Cece Bell, and this is my graphic novel, El Defo. The book is called El Defo because that was my childhood nickname for myself. I became deaf when I was 4.5 years old after getting very sick with meningitis. My parents got me a hearing aid, and eventually I was enrolled in a school with kids who could hear. So I was the only kid, not only in my class, but in the entire school, who could not hear. So already I was very different. To help me in school, my parents got me a special hearing aid called the phonic ear. And it looks like this. That's my hearing aid that I wore. And every day I put it on, just like this. The only difference is that in real life, I never wore it on top of my clothes, but under my clothes. And that is because I was very, very ashamed of how it made me look, because it made me look different. I also had 2 little earpieces that went up to my ears like this. So not only did I have this on my front, I also had cords going up to my head. Anyway, to make this work for me, the teacher wore a microphone. And what the microphone did was it amplified my teacher's voice just for me. No one else in the class could hear it because they weren't wearing a phonic ear. I discovered that not only could I hear my teacher wherever she was in the classroom, but I could hear her wherever she was in the entire school building. This means that I got to hear her having conversations with other teachers about how terrible we were, or maybe I could hear her smoking in the teacher's lounge, and sometimes I could even hear her when she used the bathroom. I am not making that up. But how did I know she was using the bathroom? Because I always heard the flush. It was really loud and really awful. So, what would happen is that all this stuff was funny to me, and so I giggled about it, and all these other kids, who I thought would never be my friends because I was so different, they actually started to talk to me, and they said, well, what are you giggling about all the time? And when I told them, they were so impressed that they actually started to become my friends. Because when you share your superpowers, believe me, you do get friends. And also, if you are feeling really, really different from everybody else in your school, don't worry. When you grow up, your differences are actually what become your superpowers. Thank you. And the book is El Defo.
Such an incredible read. You will absolutely love this book. So if you've not yet read this one, please, please check this one out. You're going to adore it. Because of Mr. Terrupt, this one you may have already read, but if you haven't, I love to share this with 6th grade because it's such a fun, realistic fiction story. This is actually about a bunch of kids in 5th grade, so I know that it's a younger classroom of students, but that being said, what's so great about this book is that it's about kids who are all so different from each other. Jessica, who's a new student having a hard time fitting in. One girl who's kind of a bully one minute, she's your friend the next minute. Another kid who's a bit of a prankster and makes trouble in class. Another kid who, hates school. They're just kind of a motley crew. They're a group who altogether just don't really get along very well at all. Until Mr. Terrupt, their brand new teacher who has all this energy, seems to be able to make it work. Their classroom suddenly becomes this really fun place to be. Everyone begins to get along with each other. Everybody starts to see each other, enjoy each other's differences, get along, enjoy school. And even though he's not letting them get away with, a lot. It's not like he's trying to be their friend or anything. He's still a teacher, and he's got boundaries. At the same time, he's allowing them to be themselves until one snowy winter day when an accident changes everything. This is an unforgettable read. And if you like a good, realistic story with an inspirational teacher and one event that can change everything, this is the book for you. And then I had to throw in one holiday read. We have lots of holiday reads, whether you are celebrating Christmas or Kwanzaa or Hanukkah or anything else. We've got all kinds of things in graphic novels, in nonfiction and fiction. So check out Destiny Discover. Check out our different seasonal reads that are being posted there. This one is a fun one if you have ever watched or are familiar with the Rudolph story, because it is a book about the island of misfit toys. So this book kind of carries on with the story. If you already know some of these characters, Charlie in the Box, a little take on the Jack in the Box toy, becomes lost at sea when there's a terrible snowstorm. And as a result, altogether, King Moonracer decides to put together a whole bunch of the misfit toys to go and rescue Charlie. They're hoping they're going to save Charlie and return to the island in time for Santa. But they're wondering, is it possible this adventure won't work out? And will the Misfits be doomed to spend another Christmas without a child to love them? If you have ever watched that classic Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, as you can see the picture that I've selected here, you know the story of some of these characters already. And even if you haven't, this is just a fun, lighthearted read. It would be perfect for reading with a younger sibling or family member if you have someone there that knows the story, or even if you just have some of that nostalgia for some of those classic holiday tales like I do. I think these are just super fun, and it's a perfect time of year to read something like that. So take a look at this one. It's by Brendan Deneen and illustrated by George Cambada. So with that, those are a few more books to add to your list, and I hope that you'll consider checking out some of our Scholastic Book Fair books once they become available very soon. Keep checking back on Destiny Discover. Please send me messages on Schoology if I can help you find anything to read. Even if you want to send me a message and say, I don't know what I want to read, but I need some help and I need some books for over winter break. That's what I am here for, and I hope that you will let me know. Thanks so much for your attention. Stay well and happy reading.